I feel like, first of all, this podcast is going to a little bit define itself. I mean, I think that going to make decisions or whatever, but I think those decisions are going to be easy because I think it's going to continue to reveal itself. And we can just sort of take notes as that happens and try to lean into the best parts that seem possible.
I got to edit this up. Start podcast here. Hey, what are we doing?
I think you already have, I think we already started it, and I think some of this is going to make it into the final cut. Oh, it's so liberating to know that this is just a take. And it doesn't, if there's any section of this that's no good, you can just throw that bitch in the ocean.
Exactly. This is, let's start a cult with this. Let's convince everybody that life is a take and you can do whatever you want with it.
At some point, we're going to talk about why you always talk about starting a cult, because there's something there, guy.
I think I want to do Blackbush.
I could do a little Blackbush. Blackbush is a good blended Irish whiskey. You get a blended whiskey that's a blend of grain and single malt, and it's supposedly very heavy on the single malt. And supposedly very heavy on the European sherry single malt. So that's pretty good.
My eye holes think that this has whiskey color in it.
Yeah, for color, I'm going to go with E150A caramel coloring. And I think we can safely move down a hole to the nose.
Indeed.
Yeah, see, that's kind of rich.
Yeah. It really, it came at me with like rich pastry, maybe like a lemon tart.
I'll come with you on all of that. I'm getting some dried fruit, actually.
Oh.
It's very sweet. It's presenting very sweet to me right now.
And it just has a little bit of the tart for me. There are the little bit of the tartiness that, how would you describe lemon? Tart? Sour? Not fully sour, but.
Some people say that sour is a combination of tart and sweet, like a sour style cocktail.
Okay.
So if there's a distinction between tart and sour, maybe that's one of them. For me personally, maybe that sounds good to me.
I think I would have gone the other way. I think I would have said tart is the middle point between sweet and sour. But
it's interesting.
Yeah. I don't know. What is the color blue? Who the fuck knows any of this shit?
I'm also getting a little bit of like custard, maybe maple syrup. This is like pretty rich. I feel like
it's complex. It's got some notes to it.
I feel like I can detect like those sherry notes. I mean, it's easy for me to say that knowing how the whiskey, like knowing exactly what's in the glass.
Yeah, I could know some sherry for sure.
Yeah. All right. You want to move down a hole?
Let's move down a hole.
It's not about the whiskey. Slaunch.
It's not about the whiskey. Slaunch. I get apple juice on the pre-arrival.
Ooh, there's like it's pretty sweet, pretty kind of dark. Maybe something in the realm of molasses.
Yeah, I can come on to that. I wanted to say maple syrup, but it was like it was deeper than that, darker than that, I guess, thicker than that. We're really going to explore how taste and smell are described in language through other sensory organs, you know.
What is it? Salted caramel. You know those things? What are those things called? Are they called turtles, where it's like a cluster of nuts with caramel and it's dipped in chocolate?
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I can come along with that for sure. I get a little bit of almond underneath there, like salty almonds dipped in molasses.
Oh, I'll come with you on that.
That's the name of our next album. Salty almonds dipped in molasses.
In parentheses, I'll come with you on that.
Perfect.
For people who already know us, I think we say, hey, I've got a thing and here's my thing.
Okay.
I think for the larger general like for people who are thousands of miles away, they don't need to know our fucking names. Because if
Yeah,
there's
exactly.
some person, anyone who's following me on social media is already a fan of mine.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not worried about, the concern would be like if there's some rando somewhere who hears something that we say and they happen to be a member of a group and they're crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The
Yeah. I know what you mean.
protection, I don't think we're trying to insulate ourselves from people who already know us,
Yeah.
you know?
So I can tag you in it, and all my friends can judge you, and you can tag me in it, and all your friends can judge me.
Right. That's
All
right.
right. Perfect.
By the way, we got to decide whether or not we need a code word for Moscow Art Theater. Is it the Russian school, or can we say
The
Moscow
Russian
Art
school.
Theater?
I kind of think we should say Moscow Art Theater because that's pretty hard to track down. Like we weren't like, I mean, there's Studio 6, which we could just call Studio X for algebra
Right.
purposes. Right. And like we get like, but people won't be like, oh well, these people, there is a studio around this time and this person and which we'll bleep out and oh, it must be these two, right? Nobody, I mean, that could honestly, like if the internet sleuths figure it out, I want them to. I want internet sleuths to figure us out. That actually
Right.
could be good. Is like, what if it's like, all right, what if part of the theme is like, hey, can you figure out who these two guys are without like friending somebody without like being friends with a friend?
I think it should be either Mort Rainey, which is Johnny Depp's character in Secret Window, or Ma Rainey's Black Bottom.
Did you see Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, by the way?
Well, you're asking about a specific production?
Oh no, the movie that came out recently.
They made a movie, and I think Coleman Domingo is in it. I'm going to use his actual name because there's no reason not to.
Yeah, celebrities we can talk about.
I know Coleman. He was at he did he workshopped a play that he wrote at the California Conservatory. And so I got to do a little, I did like, we did a few readings, he directed it. So I know him. I mean, I'm not like in touch with him or whatever. I like his things on social media or whatever.
But we were talking about the Theater World Awards. And I don't know, there's just something about that. Like, it's just like, it was very cool for me to like be in the same room with people that were on Broadway, and like it felt in my reach because like it like I didn't know anybody in the room who was there for acting purposes, but I bet you I was like one away, I
don't know. I don't know. You mean, what do you mean?
Like so the Theater World Awards is people who like they're being honored because it's their first time on Broadway, and they're like winning the Tonys, but for the Rookie Award Tonys, like the Rookie of the Year. And like occasionally there's like a famous person. Like right now it's Jodie Comer, who's in Prima Facie, and like Katie Holmes is a past recipient. Laura Linney presented because I don't know, she probably got it before, but she's also on Broadway right now. So it's kind of a marketing thing, but it's also like honoring, like there's this understudy on Broadway named Julie Banco. She's the understudy for Leah Michele in Funny Girl. And she's like got a story, like she has to go on last minute. And it's like just a wonderful, part of the reason I felt like it was a wonderful event was like, I am not so far removed from that. That's the magic of New York City theater, And you just basically said, like, I know someone who was in an Oscar-nominated movie. Like, that's so cool.
You said something about how you didn't. You said something like you didn't know anyone that you knew in an acting capacity or something. I didn't understand what you meant by that.
I didn't know anyone in the room, so I was there because I was a business owner. Right.
Oh, I see. So
I was there because of tickets, right?
You were there as the ticket person. You were not there as an actor.
Exactly.
No one there knew that you were an actor. Anyone who knew you there knew that you were a ticket person.
Yeah, exactly. And I also didn't know, like, I don't don't think I knew any of the actors, but it felt like I was close to know. It felt like I was close to the stage because even if I was there as an actor, I was probably just one link away. You know.
Right.
Actually, if Rachel Brosnahan had been nominated, or if she was there, I don't know if this is her Broadway debut, but I am one link away from her. My ex-girlfriend went to high school with Rachel Brosnahan.
Mm-hmm.
Got one. Being from Colorado, I feel like there is like I think I am a little bit starstruck just by being in New York, or, you know, being in the world. It felt very far away from me.
So that's maybe an interesting topic, talking
I think
about being starstruck, or your proximity to people who operate on a high level in the industry. I think that's maybe potentially an interesting. I think it's interesting.
I think that's interesting, and I'm gonna swerve it. I'm gonna say I think the interesting thing part about it, and this is maybe a difference between you and I, is that for me, it's not even it's just being close to the industry. Like, you know, just being like, it's not even being close to the industry. It's like just having tried to be close to the industry, you know? It's like, that is, most people would be like, that's fucking insane. They obviously didn't call me Gaiev. T-Bone moved to New York to try to be part of it, and is now one room away from the Tonys.
This is you? You were T-Bone?
I was T-Bone, exactly. Doesn't it sound insane?
I can't believe that you were a T-Bone person.
I was, man. And you're one room away from the Oscars, but that's probably not that surprising for you because you grew up in New York and you went to fancy theater high school and all this.
Well, yes and no. So that's not so crazy to me, but it's not because I grew up in New York. Because when I was growing up in New York, I was just like anybody else. You know, if I saw a famous person, I would be like, holy shit, it's a famous person.
Right.
The reason that I have whatever disposition, for lack of a better word, when it comes to that I do now, is because of the interactions I've had with people who operate on a high level in the industry. You know what I mean?
So let me go deeper into the backstory of Bamis the Don.
When you say Bamis the Dawn, it makes me think of when Neo fights Smith at the end of the third Matrix movie. The track that that's right. The track that plays is called Neo Dameron, which means Twilight of Neo. So we're doing Dawn of Bamis now.
Dawn of Bamis. I mean, it sounds so okay. That might be the title of this podcast.
Yeah. That's a definite contender.
We've got at least two good ones. We'll see what wins. You guys listening to us already know.
That's right.
So what happened between 8th grade and 9th grade that you got to go to fancy art school?
Well, it wasn't between 8th and 9th. It was between 9th and 10th because I was an incoming sophomore. And what happened is I heard that it existed and I auditioned for it. I had my parents were extremely supportive of my acting thing.
When did your acting thing start?
Like in general?
Yeah.
When I was very young. When I was like 10 or 11, something like that. I went and I did a summer program in a church, and there was a lady there who ran this program in this church in my neighborhood. And so, you know, I told my parents I wanted to be an actor. So one summer they put me in the church theater thing.
And then you just kept going.
And then I just kept going. And then by the time I was, I must have been 14 or 15, they got me into a class with a lady named Annie. So her son played in Home Alone. I don't know. I don't know how. I don't know if she was an acting coach first, and then probably she had been an acting coach. I was too young at the time to ask these questions.
Right. Or was she
I
just
just
an acting coach because her son was famous?
so I don't know. At the time I was an id charging forward, right? So they which I remained for a long time.
I think we all remain a little bit of an ed charging forward.
So they put me in a class with. She taught out of her beautiful, gigantic Upper West Side apartment. I met her son. He was really funny. Yeah, there would just be small groups of people who would just do work in her fucking living room, man. I don't think I heard about it. I think they did somewhere. And then they put me in a class with her, and she helped me work on monologues to audition for the Artsy Fartsy. And I auditioned and I got in, and I came in as an incoming sophomore.
Oh wow, that's fucking. The whole thing. I didn't even know. It's still blowing my mind that there was a performing arts high school. Like that is just. I wish maybe there was, and I just wish so badly that I'd even known that was a thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because then I think because I was going to a private school, like I was going to a private school, but my parents were paying for me to get this education. If I could be like, hey, I think I'm a good actor. Can you pay for me to get an education like in that way instead of just like, we're going to pay for you to think about Jesus a lot more than you need to. And, and now I have a podcast that ends Hail Satan.
I would like to revisit the thing about our connections to, starting out with stars in our eyes, and then throughout our journey, meeting people who were operating on high levels.
Right. When did you know?
Well, when did you know what?
When did you know you met someone? When did you first know you're like, oh, this person's operating on a high level? Like I probably didn't like.
I was
Moscow Art Theater summer program was probably the first time for me.
I had a thing before that because at the liberal arts college, Blondie and I did a study abroad program. We went to Ireland, and then that was the summer of Sam. That was the summer of 2008. And that fall we came back, and the same professor who had sort of spearheaded that directed The Playboy of the Western World by J.M. Singh, which is an Irish play. And her kind of collaborator, cohort English teacher, because it was like she was the drama person, and then there was also like a comp lit professor who came on the trip. The comp lit professor is friends with Stephen Ray. So when we came back and in the fall did the play, Stephen Ray came and worked with us, and sort of was like a guide. And it was really funny because most of the cast didn't know who he was.
Right.
They just knew vaguely some movie star was coming that they weren't familiar with, but I grew up watching his movies.
Right.
And we'll have to think of a nickname for him. He had been talking about like, oh, we got to take him down to the Green. I was like, he's not going to come with us to the Green, but he did.
Oh, that's so cool.
He came and he hung out, and I bought him a drink, and then throughout the rehearsal process, and he was very, he was really, he liked the stuff that I was doing, so he would talk to me, and he would talk to me about the accent. We had a really good dialect coach named Stephen Gabus. And so I worked on it's a hard dialect. It's a specific rural West Coast Ireland dialect. And so Stephen Ray would kind of talk to me about the music of the language and whatever. He was like kind of invested in it. That was the first time I think that I came close to a person who I had seen in movies. And then obviously later it happened at the California Conservatory. It happened a bunch of times.
That is really cool. And also like I think we assumed operating at a high level meant a different thing. Because my whole thought was like, when I met someone that I look back on now that was really talented. And like had that, not even really talented, but like had the drive, had something. There's just something. But we're gonna have to pick that up on the next after a sponsor from after a message from our sponsors.
Because you were talking about the awards, and you were talking about being starstruck and seeing celebrities. And so I referred to it as meeting people who are operating on a high level in the industry, because I don't want to just say famous people.
Well, I think we had specifically said operating at a high level and not at a high level in the industry, because for me those are two different things. I mean, they're obviously overlapping.
I was talking about meeting celebrities, but the way I phrased it was meeting people operating on a high level in the industry. Because that was my plebeian attempt to not sound quite so plebeian, right? And then you kind of took over and you started talking about people who are operating on a high level, in quotes, but you interpreted that to mean something else. I think
I just meant people who smoke weed.
People who smoke weed, right? I think that both of those things are really interesting topics of conversation.
Yeah, and I think when I say like operating at a high level, and I think what I meant is like not just being super talented and having ability, but like also the like going for itness. Or like, I don't know, it's something a little more hippie than that, like the talent and the being on that path. Because like one of my girlfriends in college, I think she was super talented, and she briefly toyed with the idea of trying to pursue a career in acting, and but now she's like an academic. I think she's teaching like theater theory. So I guess she was probably the first person that I would consider that I met that I'm like, oh, you've got it. Whatever it is, like you can operate at a high level in the arts. Being good enough to be, or being like dedicated enough or smart enough or whatever it is to be like, yeah, now I teach this. Like I'm not at all surprised. And like, if I went back and told 25, 24-year-old guy that Banis was a professor of acting at, a couple of different schools, I'd be like, yeah, that makes perfect fucking sense. He's super talented and smart. I didn't come across that many people, but like when I went to the Moscow Art Theater summer program, there was a handful. I wouldn't say everybody in that program was operating.
So you're not talking about the teachers, you're talking about the students.
I'm talking about the students and the teachers. Like, I didn't have any teachers. Well, okay, no, that's not true. Teachers at my university, no, didn't. There was nobody operating at a high level. Not that none of them were like. I'm not trying to insult anybody, but like, there was nobody who was really, it was like, I am an English professor and I also like Greek theater, so now I'm the drama program person. Or I'm a grad student that was in some play, like was in a play in college all the time, so like now I'm directing the thing. And nobody was like really had capacity for it in like to make a career out of it. But I did take classes at a place called East West Players in Los Angeles, and my teacher there, her name was Leslie Ishii, and she had like a role on Lost, and like she had it, and like so I guess a handful of the people that in Los Angeles I was interacting with. And I imagine that in New York and going to fancy performing arts high school, I imagine that you encountered more people that had that talent and drive, like whatever it is that I'm trying to describe. Do you understand what I'm trying to describe?
I'm still not 100% on exactly what we're looking at someone who has talent, but also has drive. Well, I don't know what the other criteria are. It's a person who is talented and driven, and what else?
I don't know, like has the ability to operate, like just the human capacity to like, because some people are super talented and like and even driven, but they're just, because they're lunatics, like they will never, you know, not even just because they're lunatic. I don't want to sound judgmental, but there's some people that just have like a thing. So it's just like, I'm just not going to progress past this part. Like maybe it's the stick-to-itiveness of like, yeah, you got talent and you got drive, but like, hey, you're 26 years old and you haven't booked anything. Like, all right, fuck it. I'm just going to go home and get a real job. You know, like that's most of my life. In fact, people that wouldn't even like consider trying to do the thing. And so I think it's like, I think it's a semi-rare thing. Like people who would even consider trying to do the thing, people that have the talent to do the thing, people that have the drive to do the thing, people that get lucky enough to like connect with a network of people to encourage them, you know?
Who is someone that you and I both know that you think is operating on a high level in the way that you mean?
Well, I think you are. I think, but like, okay, I think you are, because you're a professor of acting. I think that I'm operating at a medium high level because I'm still doing it. Like I also like, I guess maybe I still have the belief in myself that I could like quote unquote make it. Like I think of you as having quote unquote made it because you're making money, most of your money off of your art, which money and making it is a whole fucking, you know, that's a whole podcast on its own. But I think if I'm going to reverse back to, maybe to simplify it a little bit, the first person that I'm like, yeah, that you will agree with this as well as me, that we both met, is Amina Khalil.
I don't know enough about her to agree with you. All I know, I met her during the Moscow thing. That's all I know about her.
Well, she's basically an A-list. Like she's super talented. You know, like I always loved watching her work, you know, in Moscow, even though it was, I mean, maybe that was because I was in love with her, but like I do genuinely think she's super talented. And two, she went back to Egypt and now she is like an Egypt A-lister, you know, like she's like Egypt's fucking, I don't know, Natalie Portman. I mean, that's not a great comparison, but
really,
I mean, maybe Natalie Portman's a little strong, but like, who's a television? She's like Egypt's Laura Linney, at least. Like somebody that like is in a
Laura Linney.
I think so. I think she's probably between Laura Linney and Natalie Portman, is the sense that I get. Obviously, it's mostly whatever, but like when I've like the shows she's on are like legit shows. Like she's going to Cannes and stuff. Like she's got films at Cannes. She's touring the world, you know?
Okay, so Amina is one of the people who's operating on a high level, but it seems like she's operating on a high level in an obvious way because she's successful as an actor on TV, albeit not in this country. But I'm also on that list, even though I gave up on auditioning a long time ago, and I'm not on TV at all. And I'm a professor at a liberal arts school and a BFA program in Long Island.
It has nothing to do with like the results of your life. It just has to do with, I don't know. There's just something that I don't know how to say except for like, I don't know. Maybe it's just I like you more, but I think you're super fucking talented and like you deserve to be a teacher of acting. Like I guess if we just went down to the 10 people at Moscow Art Theater that went to Moscow, people that I think are on this level, me, you, Blondie, Amina, I haven't really kept track of him, but like if I'm going back and like trying to like listen to that sense, I thought James was super talented and a good person. So like the people who have the drive, who have the talent, who have the luck, and then, well, I don't know, you know, I think you're lucky enough, you're blessed enough to be like making a bit of a life in and around the thing. Because I guess maybe that's the thing that ties all of us together. You and Blondie are making money off of teaching acting. Amina is making money off of being a star. Maybe it's just people who have whatever it is to like make money on the arts, like,
Well,
because the arts are
so
not fucking profitable,
well,
unless you're at a certain level.
so for me, teaching acting is tremendously rewarding. I enjoy it thoroughly. I have a great time when I'm in class, and I'm super thankful to do it. There are, I think, a lot of people who do get the opportunity to do that, even on a college level, who don't love it, who are doing it because they couldn't do what they really wanted to do, which was perform. And I think the earth is just littered with shitty acting teachers. So I appreciate the compliment and I'll take it that I'm doing that, but I don't think that just in and of itself, you know what I mean? I feel like there are some people who are doing that who are doing it well. There are some people who are doing that and enjoying it. And I think there are lots and lots and lots of people who are not necessarily doing either of those things.
Well, let me ask you this. You went to
California Conservatory.
How many people were in your class? 8, 10?
When we started, there were 12, 10 of us graduated.
Of the 12 people, like what, it has nothing to, like, at the time you were like, ooh, they're good. I'm glad it's pretty cool that I like get to play with this person. I think let's start at ability. How many people do you think? Because I think ability is the number one ingredient in what I'm talking about.
I don't know, it's hard because it's got more dimensions than that, So there were people at school with me that I think were tremendously talented, but they didn't have the head for it. They didn't have the head for the business of it. They were never going to make it in the industry, but were super talented. Then there are people who were good with talking to people. They were good with rubbing elbows with folks, and as far as ability, they were good enough. And there's all different things that give people, that make people kind of viable, attractive folks to put in shows and movies and plays over and over. You know what I mean?
To me, you phrasing it like that makes it seem like anybody who's good looking enough and outgoing enough can figure this out, like can like get a few good rolls of the dice and I don't know, like, is there, so what is talent? Like, what percentage of the population is talented enough to like, that you'd be like, yeah, I'd watch that person on TV,
Well, so
like they might be
right.
okay, like there are certain people I'd be like, if I saw you on TV, I'd be like, okay, well, you're not getting too far past the co-star role.
Well, so yeah, so this is why I'm asking these questions, because this is sort of an as yet ill-defined, because there's, it's not as if, when I was a kid, I thought like, okay, if you're good enough, then you have a shot. Like if you're good enough and you just hang in there, then you have a pretty good shot. Whereas nowadays, I mean, I know, and we've talked about this a little bit, I know some people who I don't think their work is particularly good, but they have a certain thing, or they were in the right place at the right time. That's not to say that I don't know people who are talented and quote unquote deserve it. I know those people too. But like, how do you measure? What are we measuring? Are we measuring like truthfulness and psychological realism? Are we measuring?
I think it's broader than that.
Right.
I think it's just like, I think it's like just being an artist, being a good artist. You've got something to say. Like I'm glad that I'd be like, yeah, I bet if I had a conversation with that person right now, it'd be a good conversation.
All right.
And
so,
and that's not just like who you'd like to talk to. That's not who you'd like, I know you don't like to talk to that many people, but like if you were forced into like a networking event or shit, you'd be like, you know what? I'm glad I got to talk to James, and it doesn't matter if he's in it or not anymore,
Well, specifically, and I have a response to what you just said. Specifically, I saw him, I think we're gonna have to bleep out his name, or we'll decide later.
Yeah.
But when I saw him, I didn't talk to him in Cambridge. I didn't talk to really anybody. Obviously, I talked to you a lot, and then you became my guy or whatever. You became my guy.
I think you're trying to grapple with my super broad, trying to define it.
So first of all, I didn't know him. I didn't talk to a lot of people. I talked to you, and that was basically mostly it in Cambridge. And then when I saw the presentations, and Dave did one of the Chekhov, what do they call those? They're not plays. They're something else. I don't remember what
they're
they are.
Like the short ones.
Yeah,
he did
there's
the
a
bear,
nerd.
didn't he?
He did the one where he's the father trying to marry off his daughter, and he's like, and all the rest of it. I just thought he was so animated and truthful relative to the style and circumstances.
Right. He had
good.
something. Right. I thought he was I thought he was really good.
He had like a shit ton of stage charm. I just thought he was great. And then when we were in Moscow, he never talked to me. I don't know if he talked to anyone. I never got to talk to. Like, I really wanted to talk to him. I was very attracted to him. I wanted to know him.
Right.
But I never got to. He actually. So remember when we were there? I had my crazy goatee that would freeze on the walk to the theater.
Yeah.
And then while we were there, I shaved it off, and then I passed him in the hallway of the dorm. And he was just coming the other way, and he saw my face, and he was like, "Yes." I think that's the only thing that dude ever said to me ever in life. To me, he was striking. I just wanted to respond to the thing from like 5-10 minutes ago about like because of how do we define what the thing is. I know people personally who they're not like brilliant. They're not. They're not someone where you watch their work and you're like, okay, that kid's fucking got something. But like they're good. They're journeyman actors. They're good. They show up on time. They have a good sense of humor. They play truthfully. They're not like astonishing or anything, but because of the way they are in the rehearsal room, that people are going to want to work with them, and then they work consistently.
I think that's kind of what I'm getting at. I'm a sports fan. Sometimes I think about it in sports terms. What's the sport you're most familiar with? I know you're not a sports person. Basketball, baseball, foot soccer, and anything?
I mean, I'm not more familiar. No, I don't know. Nothing.
All right, I'll just go basketball because I think it's probably the most relatable sport to Americans because there's not a lot involved. There's 5 people. So like think about the NBA. NBA also super popular. Who's on the LeBron James level of acting? Those are obviously the A-list, all the A-listers. These are the people that if you're like, hey, have you seen the recent Nicole Kidman movie? You're like, no, I didn't know Nicole Kidman had a new movie, but like it doesn't support like, hey, maybe I'll go see that. It just doesn't surprise me that there's a Nicole Kidman movie. Those are like your all-stars, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you got a whole bunch of people. Like I pay close attention to my team. I could tell you a roster from 1 to like 9, right? But I couldn't tell you that for the other 29 teams in the league. So now there's the people who are like, yeah, he's really good. He's a starter, but I don't know his name. I think this is the level that you have described that you want to operate at. Like if it was that ideal, like I want to be a working actor. I show up in some stuff, but you don't necessarily know my name. That takes a certain amount of talent at the let's just start with talent. Just that. How many of the people, like, who do you think? I think that Abrams has the talent to be that actor if the dice get rolled correctly. I think you have that talent. I think Blondie has that talent. I think I have that talent.
So, but then we're not talking about the cards people got dealt or what they had actual.
I think what I'm talking about. But I think part of it is like, yeah, all right. So not even the starters, like people who are like could be in the NBA, like could be like could have a couple years, because like the average NBA career lasts like 3.5 years. Like you're young, you're super, you got what it is, you got the work ethic, and then are you going to stick it around in the NBA?
Is it 3.5 years? Is that even less than boxers?
I'd have to look for the NBA. I'd have a look because I don't know that stat offhand because it might be significantly different. But I know
it doesn't matter.
For the NFL, it's like 2.5 years, and the NHL it's like 2.9. The NBA it might be like 6 or 7 years, but it's not like you can make a whole career out of this.
This is why talking to you is like talking to an evil supercomputer. You know? Can I be permitted one more Patton Oswalt joke?
Yeah, please.
But he was like, my wife texted me, I love you. And like, I just quickly sent her a text back to say, I love you too. But I hit the wrong thing and the phone just, because it auto completed. So like he says, I typed I and the next word was hate because of how often he starts a sentence with I hate such and such. But he didn't write I hate you. He just sent I hate. So it's like, he said, it's like my wife is married to an evil supercomputer. She's like, I love you. And I'm like, I hate. You say Colorado.
And you say Colorado.
I say Colorado. Also, that's a Spanish word, Colorado.
It is something, has something to do with color, right?
Yeah, literally it means colored.
Colored.
But I think like colloquially, it's more like, I don't know if colloquially is a word. It's more like if someone is Colorado, I think it's like, it means like your face, like you're flushed.
Oh, so it's like a blush. You're blushing.
Maybe.
You're Coloradoing.
Yeah, I'm not 100% on this, but yeah, I think it's something like that.
It could be flushed as in like you just worked really hard. You just climbed the mountains.
Yeah, no, I think it's more like I think it's more what you're saying. I think it's more like you're blushing, or maybe you're angry. I don't think it's that you're angry. I think it's that you're blushing, but I'm not. Don't quote me on any of this.
That makes sense. I mean, I think would be proud of either, because Colorado is beautiful enough to make you blush, and the altitude is also high enough that it would make you flushed. And if that wasn't a poet, that's a hire me state of Colorado marketing department. Holy crap.
Yeah.
All right. Give my love to Blondie and peace and love.
Hail Satan.
It's not about the whiskey.
It's not about the whiskey.